Recently, Assistant Professor Vipin's resignation from the IIT Madras, alleging caste discrimination, received wide publicity, and it has already been forgotten. It's already sort of gone out of public memory, the media public memory. We need to understand his resignation in the context of the idea of merit within the psyche of the Indian social polity, and the place that institutions, elite institutions like IITs, IIMs, national law schools, central universities like JNU occupy within the Indian imagination of what a meritorious and an elite institution is. To put it bluntly, Professor Vipin's resignation itself, while it might have come as a surprise to many, wasn't surprising to me at all. Caste discrimination is a fact in most of these institutions. Why most? Almost all these institutions, and the fact is not essentially about some kind of innate quality in individuals who discriminate based on caste, but it's essentially about how these institutions are shaped and how people enter these institutions, and who are the people who are the human beings who people these institutions. We need to remember that these institutions are within the casted polity, casted society that India is, and therefore these institutions are a reflection of the same. So let us start looking at these institutions right from the entry itself. So if you are going to enter any of these institutions as a student, you go through an admission test process. And let us just take, for example, IITs itself. People start coaching for IIT entrance exam right from the age of 11, 12. And this coaching usually requires not just a lot of money, financial aspects apart, a lot of time. And this time and money is essentially what I would call Savarna privilege, Savarna elite privilege. Because see, this money and time essentially comes when money, time and lack of other kind of social commitments come when one has a very sheltered background. Now, it is with this sheltered background that people apply for this entrance test, prepare for this entrance test, and when we are talking about people who enter from marginalized backgrounds, they are entering these places without these privileges afforded to them. And that is one of the reasons, and let me remind you, it is just one of the reasons, apart from a fact that it has been a politically negotiated right, that there are reservations to these institutions. Anyway, coming back to the question of how these people enter the institutions, apart from the privilege of time and space that they can spend on entering these institutions, the next step is the exam itself. Here I would like to take the help of Stephen Jay Gould's a classic book, Mismeasure of Man, where Gould is trying to amongst other things, what Gould is trying to do is he's trying to sort of examine how intelligence tests, whether it is IQ tests, the entire gamut of intelligence tests, how these tests essentially are designed in such a way to reinforce existing hegemonies. Of course, the book Mismeasure of Man itself is looking at it from the racial angle, the racist angle. The analogy, the method can be extended to other forms of hegemonies like caste, gender, etc. And with caste, it makes a perfect fit. So what happens is these people, the tests themselves are designed in such a way that they weed out people who do not have the same kind of privilege and exposure that most of these marginalized communities have. So these tests, by the very nature of them being so-called posited equally, they essentially do not test the aptitudes of people, but they test what these people would be exposed to. So what would happen is, if there is a Dalit who is, for instance, if there is a Dalit who has a lot of mathematical skills, but hasn't had the kind of exposure, let us say a Brahmin or a Kayast boy or girl has had to sort of apply those skills, she stands at a disadvantage right from the start. Now, despite that, if this person gets into any of these institutions, what happens is, one needs to understand that once you get into the institution, your tests are all equal. It doesn't matter. I mean, there are no reservations. So you need to pass the test. I mean, there are no differential markings regardless of where you come from. So you need to pass the test, whether it's a medical school, engineering school, law school, whatever it is. You need to pass the test along with others. But this factor is often excluded from discussions around merit. And what happens is, the student or whoever enters these institutions, these elite institutions, they are right from the beginning excluded and looked down upon because of the point of entry in which they enter. So they also face extreme peer discrimination as they get into this as they get through these institutions. And that is why we see that the largest number of, I mean, Fatima Lateef has been a recent case, and Rohit Vemula as of the recent past has been the most famous. But I mean, apart from these faces, the largest number of people who commit suicide within these campuses are essentially from marginalized communities. And here I am talking about Dalit Bahujan communities. And the reason should be obvious, but it doesn't seem so, because these institutions are designed in such a way that they are essentially protecting and perpetuating what I would call a hegemonized caste society. And this is essentially the structural problem that Vipin's case sort of addresses. Now, Vipin is just one of the more famous and one of the few cases that made it to the headlines. I mean, I know of many cases which have gone unnoticed, including the poet Meena Kandaswamy's mother, Dr. Vasantha Kandaswamy, from the same institution, Madras IIT, who has had a long battle against caste discrimination within IIT, and which hasn't been talked about much. Now, the thing is not about, I mean, the thing is that these battles, these individual battles, some of them might take the limelight. I mean, Rohit had to kill himself to get the limelight, or I would call it institutional murder had to happen to Rohit for him to get the limelight. But what we need to understand is that this is not just cases of one person discriminating another. This is not like, I am Brahmin and I slap a Dalit, or it's not that way. This is essentially much more deeper, this much more entrenched in terms of the system itself. Works in a way where the narrative moves in a way where it sort of helps perpetuate the caste system within campuses without these campuses actually acknowledging the white elephant in the room. So what we are seeing here is that we are seeing an enabling environment where people like Vipin or Professor Vasantha or so many others would be left in the lurch in the institution if they are sort of going to allege caste discrimination at any point of time in their career. And this is not just about faculty, about students. Now, if any student alleges or faces caste discrimination and wants to call it out, calling it out itself is an act that requires tremendous, I mean, I won't call it courage, because courage would be undermining it, which means that the person sort of loses everything in life. And therefore, I know many people, including my peers in law school with whom I went, would actually try very hard to hide their caste identity so that they are not at a disadvantage, and so that they can have a much easier sailing. So the next question is, how can we address this? Now, Vipin's resignation and his case, of course, needs to be fought, needs to be won, as a lesson in terms of how we sort of work against caste discrimination, and that caste discrimination cannot be tolerated. But that would be working on it on an individualized basis. But more importantly, we need to start re-looking what the idea of merit within these institutions, these elite institutions, and I'm including all of them. I'm not just talking about IITs, I'm talking about IIMs, I'm talking about national law schools, I'm talking about JNU, I'm talking about Hyderabad Central University. We need to sort of look at the essential question of what merit within these institutions are, how people enter these institutions, and we need to sort of first start by acknowledging that caste is the main problem that we need to deal with when we are sort of looking at creating these so-called fine minds. So once we have acknowledged that, I think, see, the whole idea is, you have the clay, you can mold the clay any way you want. The problem is that you have the clay and you say that, this clay is bad and I would not touch this clay, and that is where this comes from. And that is because the person who is handling, the potter, the so-called teacher, is essentially coming from within the same system. So, the change has to happen across the board. And if the change has to happen across the board, the first thing that the state, the social polity rather than just the state, I would not just blame the state, the social polity has to acknowledge that the essential factor that is limiting excellence in education generally and higher education in particular within India is caste. And once we have admitted that, I think changes can start happening, and Vipin's or Rohit Vemula's will stop happening. Thank you very much.